So for today's class, we start with the stability analysis of the system. So here we should understand what is mean by stability of the system. Okay. So we already know what is mean by system. So the if the system is stable or not, we have to analyze. That is nothing but your stability of the system. A linear time variant system is stable if the natural responses approaches to zero as the time approaches infinity. So that is the first condition. So if the system linear system is said to be zero means its natural response has to approaches to the zero value if t tends to infinity. That's all. Okay, and then you can able to see the time invariant system is unstable if the natural response grows without bound without bound as time approaches to the infinity. Okay, so that will be the thing. And then marginally stable means the natural response either decays or grows. So that will be the uncertain, or it will be oscillates approaches to the time t infinity. Okay, so this will be the various conditions for the stability of the system. So whether the system is been stable or not, we can say like this, depending upon the nature of the responses, whether it reaches the zero immediately, then it will be stable. If it is not, it is not reaches zero, it goes, then it will be unstable. It will be approaching zero, and also it's has some grows, decays and grows like that, then it is called as a marginally stable. Okay, so this will be the various things. And then if you are having any system, the next question is how to determine the system stability. Okay, so system stability will be determined which focus on the nature of the responses. Okay, so that will be the main thing. So the stable system always have the closed loop transfer function with the poles only at the left half of S plane. So you should understand very clearly this is. So here if you are having a system closed loop transfer function, so which will be having zeros and poles. Okay, numerator S plus term zeros, denominator S plus term will be poles. So if that poles are located on the left half of S plane, then system is completely stable. If the closed loop system poles are located on the right half of S plane, then it is a unstable system. Okay, so this is how we have to determine the stability of the system. Okay, so in this fourth unit, stability analysis of the control system, we are going to take this concept only. So we are going to determine the open, we will be having a open loop transfer function. From that you can determine the closed loop transfer function. So this transfer function will be having poles and zeros. If the poles are located at left half of S plane, then the system is stable. If the poles are located on the right half of S plane, system is completely unstable. So this is the main thing we have to understand. So now we can able to take simple transfer functions. So based on this, we can able to say whether the system is stable or not, it is unstable or not, or marginally stable or not, like depending upon the transfer function. So it will be able to understand how the nature of location of the zeros and poles are available. Based on that, you can say whether the system is stable or not. Okay, so this will be the thing. And then the stability of the system, so it's been analyzed. You can able to see if the closed loop transfer function consists the poles. If the poles are located on the left half of S plane, then the system is said to be completely stable. Okay, so if it is poles are located on the right half of S plane, system is completely unstable. Okay, so then we can take the various transfer functions. You can also test determine the stability, whether the system is stable, unstable, or marginally stable, depending on the location of the poles. Okay, so then we can able to see the stability of the system can be analyzed by three methods. One is by Routh-Hurwitz stability, and the second one is by using a root locus technique, and the third one is Nyquist stability. So by different three persons come with a different stability analysis concepts. So by in this topic, we are going to discuss all the concepts behind the stability analysis, okay, of any system. So first of all, we take the Routh-Hurwitz stability criterion. In this method, the stability will be determined for the continuous systems also. The Routh-Hurwitz, he is the person, he come up with the stability of the system. Okay, analysis of the stability of the system. So what he says means the number of roots of the characteristic equation should be positive and real roots. Okay, which is equal number of changes in this. So then the system will be system will be stable. Otherwise, if you are having a negative poles and negative roots, then the system is unstable. Okay, so depending upon the number of sign changes in the root array, so it gives the number of poles located in the right half of S plane. So that will be the thing for the stability analysis comes with the root orbits. Okay, so now we can able to see the next thing, the stability criterion. So in this method, you can able to see the many closed loop system poles will be left off of S plane, so somehow will be on the right half of S plane also. Okay, so here some of the poles we might also located in the imaginary axis. So in that case we cannot able to say whether it is stable or unstable. So on that case also we can able to determine the stability of the system by conducting the root Hurwitz analysis. Okay, so here you can able to see the root Hurwitz root Hurwitz. If the location of poles on the left half of S plane, the system is stable. If the poles are located on the right half of S plane, system is stable. If the poles are located on the imaginary axis, also the system is marginally stable. Okay, so this will be the various steps which will be included with the stability analysis. Okay, so now you can able to see root Hurwitz stability criterion. So always we will be having a closed loop transfer function. So the denominator will gives the location of poles. The denominator mostly will be having a characteristic equation as a polynomial equation. From this polynomial equation, you can able to construct the root array. So first of all, we should know how to construct the root array. So here you can able to see the highest S power will be is in the odd number or even number. We have to understand. So if it is in the odd number, so the odd powers will be odd powers of S coefficients will be taken into first thing. Okay, and then the even coefficients, even power coefficients will be taken. Okay, so like that you have to construct the first row, okay, from the given characteristic equation. The remaining rows we can able to construct ourselves by doing some simple calculations. So how that can be done, we discussed that. Okay, so here you can able to see so the root array construction table you can able to see. So all the explanation we will discuss from having or looking into this table itself. For example, so this is the transfer function. Okay, so the denominator gives you the characteristic equation. The characteristic equation has the s power n coefficient as a naught, s power n minus 1 will be will be a3 like that. Okay, so here you can able to see highest s power is 4. Okay, for example, s power 4 s power 4, so therefore it is a even number. So therefore s power 4, then the coefficient is a naught, and then s power 2 coefficient is a2. Okay, next even is s power 0. So s power 0, the coefficient is nothing but a naught. Like that you have to write the coefficients in the descending order. So s power 4 means s power 4, s power 2, s power 0. If you are having s power 5 means s power 5, s power 3, s power 1. Descending order powers, you have to write its coefficients. Okay, so now you can able to see s power 4. Next, s power 3, odd number will be s power 3 power. So its coefficient is nothing but a3, s power 3, and then you will be getting s power 1. So s power 1 of the coefficient is there in the characteristic equation as a1. So now you have filled the two rows. Okay, so now you have to determine next row. Okay.